Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Crypto.com live video AMA. I'm your host, Marina Taylor from Crypto.com. And today we're going to be joined by Tascha Punyaneramitdee, co-founder and project lead at Alpha Venture DAO. Alpha Venture DAO is a community of individuals who aspire to shape the future of Web3 by reinventing how decentralized applications are built, contributed, and owned. Here to answer your questions is Tascha.
Hey,
Hello.
hi, Marina. Glad to be here.
Hi. Yeah, welcome. How's it going?
Going well. Yeah, nice day here in Bangkok.
Oh, nice. So we have got a lot of questions from the community today. We're really excited to jump into them. Before we dive in deep into Alpha Venture DAO, I was wondering if you could give a quick introduction to yourself.
Yeah, sure. So Tasha, co-founder and project lead of Alpha Venture DAO, born and raised in Thailand, actually. And I went to study in the US at UC Berkeley, so I studied economics there. After the Bay Area, or after studies, I pretty much went into tech investment banking, so entering into the financial services role, but the clients are all tech. And then I worked there for several years in the US, in San Francisco, and also in London. And then after that, I came back to Thailand to be a product manager at Tencent. And pretty much like throughout the whole time, right? I've been trading crypto since 2017, got hurt a lot, took a lot of lessons. But at the same time, I pretty much studied a lot of the technology and the concepts behind crypto and the whole decentralized concepts, right? And I think the moment really hit me was when I've always been trading and getting hurt, but I feel like there must be some fundamentals, right? So I started digging quite a lot, and it was about 2020, early 2020, when I think there were some applications, some DeFi applications. Uniswap was live, Aave, Compound. And I think that was time that I really got, to play a lot of DeFi applications and saw a lot of market gaps. I was very passionate at that time. And at the same time, right, I got, connected to my co-founder and pretty much just like started building from small. I can talk a bit more on like how we actually got started. And now, yeah, where I built Alpha Venture now, which is a big community globally. So it's been definitely been a journey, and yeah, happy to share a bit more about Alpha Venture as well.
Yeah, wow. Interesting journey to get there. Was there like a moment when you decided that you wanted to become a builder?
Yeah, I think since I was young, I've always known that I want to build something. I just was, finding what area of tech, what area of business that I want to build on. And I think just the fact that I've always been interested in crypto for the past since 2017 until 2020, like that shows a lot of interest and passion to myself. So I was like, okay, this is the area that it is really worth digging into. Even though it was super early, no one really talked about crypto or Web3, let alone DeFi, right? So I think it was quite a journey. Was tough for sure in the beginning, and definitely worth it. I think the moment was when I think the key enlightening moment was actually when I read the Bitcoin white paper, which is like way back in the years. Knew nothing about any word that was mentioned in that white paper, but write my own notes and everything. And I think that whole experience really like light bulb moment that hey, this is the alternative world that can actually you can actually build on and like shape how the future world's gonna look like. So I think that was the main enlightening moment.
Nice. So you and your co-founder put together Alpha Venture DAO. Can you tell us what is Alpha Venture DAO?
Yeah. Quick summary though, I think you can think of it as, a venture builder and incubator. So all in all, it's through our building capability, we leverage that to build and capture the demand in various angles of Web3. So think about it like Web3 is very early, very young, right? We want to be able to capture the new segments that come up in Web3, but doesn't mean that we're going to build everything. Let's say for each segment, let's say DeFi, right, or NFT, or metaverse, or maybe in the future social fi, right? We're going to form a thesis within each sector, and those theses will drive how we build things. And pretty much, in order to come up with these theses, we have to live and breathe in this industry, to really know like what are the market demands, how are users actually interacting, what are users behaviors, and then through building a lot of these tech innovations, you really get the secret sauce, to how to actually like put the project to success, put the product to success, right? So that's the build arm, and then we leverage that, the secret sauce that we get from building, and a lot of the connections that we make with people in the industry, whether it's founders of other projects, or maybe top tier investors, or even market makers, lawyers, etc. Right? So we leverage our skills, and also our connections to form an incubator program. So that's a second arm. So with the incubator program, we pretty much leverage all the know-how and connections that we have to be able to incubate and advise incubated projects, which are external projects that apply to our incubator program, in a way that is really hard to replicate, because it's really hard if you're not a builder to be able to advise and incubate projects well. So all in all, right, it's you can think of it as an ecosystem of Web3 applications. And the end goal of this, I think, in my opinion, is that with Alpha token alone, or if you just know about Alpha Venture DAO, you will already be exposed to and get the ability to invest in all the key innovations in Web3. That alone will also lower the barrier for the mass, because it's a lot of research you have to do. There are tons of projects changing every day. So the only way that you can kind of evaluate that easily is to invest in Alpha and other projects that you get exposed to through Alpha. Yeah.
We'll get into Alpha a little bit later, as well as each of these arms. We have one community question from a Twitter user, JezzaX3. She's wondering about, or he or she is wondering about the name change. So why did Alpha change the name from Alpha Finance Lab to Alpha Venture DAO?
Yeah, so in addition to changing the name and rebranding, we also expanded in that journey, right? So, fast or backtrack a bit. Before Alpha Venture DAO, we were Alpha Finance Lab, and what that was we were the DeFi lab, right? So we innovated, we built a lot of innovations in DeFi, and what we realized is that our vision has expanded beyond DeFi when we first started, several years ago, right? So we want to be able to capture and grow upon the broader vision that we have. So hence becoming Alpha Venture DAO, in a way that we're not limited to only DeFi, but the whole Web3 landscape, through building, incubating, investing in the Web3 projects.
Makes sense. You guys outgrew the name.
Yeah.
Okay, we were moving on to another question from the community Twitter user Cap Cosmos. So in addition to being the co-founder, you're the project leader. How exactly do you get involved with the projects yourself?
Yeah, so I think similar to what I said earlier, in the beginning, that started from trading since 2017, read a bunch of things, got really into it. The more I get into it, I just keep talking about it. Luckily, people here that I know connected me to my co-founder, who graduated from MIT. He's actually ranked the third in math globally, in math Olympics. So yeah, we hit it off, and we started small. We started from building one product, and then that took off really well, which is Homora, and then we expanded to become, hey, we, in order for us to grow the industry quickly, we got to be a lab, right? And hence Alpha Finance Lab. And then now, the vision kind of grows with the community, and we also want to make sure that while building Alpha Venture DAO, we loop in community a lot more. So with the current, framework that we have, community is actually very involved in the incubating process. So I can share a bit more with what we call Alpha Network, which is, a selected group of people from the community that we have, screened to be able to advise and benefit from incubating. And eventually we're going to decentralize even further, on the build arm, on the governance, etc.
Cool. Let's jump into look at Alpha Build. How many projects are under the Alpha Build arm currently?
Yeah, so there are 4 products we've built, 2 in DeFi, 2 in NFT/metaverse area, I would say. So one is, which is the flagship product, is called Homora, right? So it's the first leverage yield farming product. We also came up with the leverage yield farming concept. At peak, I think it was about $1.8 billion of total value locked on Ethereum, Phantom, Avalanche, Binance Smart Chain. So yeah, it has been and currently is also the flagship product. In addition to Homora, we have also built AlphaX, which is in the derivatives perpetual swaps area. So those two are in the DeFi landscape. And then we have also built more of a POC concept. What I call POC is because I think the industry is not yet ready for this tool or this product. But we want to test it anyways, and we actually got really huge success on community engagement and usage initially. So that product is called Provably Rare Gems, combining the concept of proof of work with gems, which is a key component in games. And then finally, the final product is called Alpha by Wall, which is more of the NFT infrastructure layer.
And if people want to access these products, where can they go to find them?
Yeah, so they can go to alphaventuredao.io, which is our website, and then there are going to be a number of the links available there.
Got it. And any plans that you can share for Alpha Build moving forward?
Yeah, we're actually building a new product, and it's in the NFT infrastructure layer. Cannot share much, but I think it's going to be driving a lot of the new influx of pretty much like the linkage between the new influx of people coming from real world through, artists, musicians,
Sports, yeah.
entrepreneurs, yeah, linking through our platform and then connecting to the Web3. It may sound broad, I cannot share too much, but that's the area that we're building right now.
Exciting. Okay, I want to move over now to the other arm, which is Alpha Incubate. Twitter user Luis Cano asks, can you tell us about the Alpha Incubate program? And then how can we join?
Yeah, so Alpha Incubate program is an incubator program by Alpha Venture DAO. And pretty much there are two main tracks. One is the build track, and the other one is the launch track. So with the build track, what that means is the projects that we screen and select are a bit earlier than the launch track projects. So you may have, a test net, you may or may not have raised funds. And the end goal of the build track is for us and the mentors in the Alpha network, which I'm going to explain a bit more, who are these people. So all of us are going to combine and mentor you such that you're going to be able to raise funds from tier one investors by the end of the 2 month program. So in order for you to be able to raise funds successfully from tier one investors, that means we're going to be able to help. We're going to need to help on, pitching, what's the product market fit. We need to help you fine tune that product market fit if it's not, there yet. Go to market strategy, or even, how do you structure the round, communication, all those things, right? And I think a lot of the projects, I would say, underestimate the pitching part a lot, because it may seem like, okay, if you have prepared everything and you pitch, that's it, right? But there's actually a lot of components to it. Like, how do you explain the product, or like, who are your actually target users? In which scenario will your product have demand? All those things, right? And then for the launch track, it's a bit for later stage companies or startups in which you have, working product, may not launch yet on mainnet. You may have raised, a small round before. And with the launch track, we're going to help you so that when you launch your product and token, it's going to be really successful, which means we're going to mentor you on crypto marketing, which is very different from, typical marketing, on community management, on token listing, market making, and yeah, the things that you would need to be able to launch the token and the product successfully. So yeah, with those two combined, those are the components of the Alpha Incubate or incubator program. And in order for us to be able to advise on all aspects of these, that's how we pretty much screen and loop in the people in the community that we have verified that they are really experts in their own area. So who are these people? Who are these firms? They're actually 70 plus companies slash people. So, for example, Sequoia, VC firm, is in our network. Amazon and AWS, founders of various Web3 projects, Web3 lawyers, or even individuals from Binance, individual from Coinbase, and many more, right? To make sure that we are actually able to plug in on all the loopholes. If you want to get involved, there are actually so many ways. If you're a project and you want to apply, you can go to alphaventure.io. There are a number of information on there in which how you can apply. If you are a community member, there are actually a lot of tasks on Discord, so you can check those tasks out. If you participate, if you help, you may be able to get whitelisted for future incubator projects tokens as well.
Nice. And as I understand, there's an application open right now. The period ends on the 10th. Is that right?
Correct. That's right. Yes.
Awesome. So if you'd like to apply, there's a few days left before the applications close.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about Alpha Academy as well?
Yeah, so you can think of it as cryptopedia or like startup school, right? And I think the market gap that we see here is that there are so much content scattered on so many places. Some are good, a lot are not really helpful for builders, I mean, right? And having been a builder myself and currently are a builder myself, it's really hard to actually find the real advice online. I mean, if you are part of Alpha Incubate, for sure you're gonna get a lot of great advice. But if you're not, or if you just want to start out your project pretty early on, then it's pretty hard to get supported from online resources. So pretty much, we have a lot of these podcasts, writing contents, not only by our team but also by people in Alpha Network that write thought pieces and share different knowledges, all combined in one place. And we hope that it would be very helpful to all the builders out there in this space.
Yeah, sounds like a really useful resource. What do you look for when you are bringing a project into your incubator?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things, but narrowing down to a few, like really key ones. One is that the problems that you're tackling must be, big and fit with the timing that we think the market is ready. The market here doesn't mean the crypto trading market, but the Web3 landscape, because we see a lot of projects solving problems that are big, but we don't think it's a problem that's worth solving yet with the current Web3 landscape. Perhaps it's the people in the Web3 landscape are very different from the target users that they're looking to target, or the tech infrastructure of blockchain now isn't as feasible to solve that problem, right? So I think that's the main one. The second is definitely the solution. So we really dig deep into what's the thought process behind you coming up with this solution. How is it really differentiated? Why are other builders not building this yet? Why is your team the right team to build this? Um, the third thing and very important thing is the team. So we look and care a lot about team dynamics, founders. How do they have you guys worked with each other before? What are the weaknesses and how is each one filling the gaps, and making sure that the team is very strong and long-term focused, because we are not looking for short-term gains for the incubator program, and we want to make sure that we actually help the projects to be really successful 3 years, 5 years from now as well.
Absolutely. What would you say makes your incubation program unique from others?
Yeah, I think a lot of the reasons will come from because we started out as a builder. So we have that secret sauce and we continue to build. So we continue to, expand the secret sauce even further. And the secret sauce, comes down to the real advice that you're gonna get. For example, like, hey, with this current market conditions, should you raise funds? At what valuation given your project? How do you deal with, um, BlockFi just announced yesterday devaluing themselves from 2 billion to 1 billion. Should you take that into consideration and adjust anything? So like all these things, right? Like if you're not a builder, it's really hard to navigate around that. And this is only one particular topic for fundraising, right? So I think that's the real secret sauce, and the connections that we have built along the timeline that we have been a builder, whether it's people from Binance, people from Coinbase, people from Sequoia, like those are all like very collective mind share that you're gonna get access to.
Right, invaluable network. We have a question from Twitter user Florin Nove. Any plans on incubating projects on Kronos?
Yeah, so I mean, we're not chain specific, so we're actually chain agnostic in terms of the products that we build, the projects that we incubate. So I think for sure, if there are interesting projects that apply that build on Kronos, we will evaluate. I think we're flexible in that sense. What we do care though is if it's not the main or like major blockchain, then we would really dive into like why do you build on that particular blockchain, what's the specific use case, and etc. Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing on about the mentors. So, how exactly does the mentorship relationship work? How much contact do people have with the mentors?
Yeah, actually very hands-on. So once the projects get accepted and we screen heavily through the selection process, then I myself and a few other in the team will actually talk to every project to determine what are your North Star pretty much. So North Star here meaning what are the key things that you actually need to like really succeed and tackle in order for you to move to the next phase. Let's say you have 4 or 5 areas, right? Then we're gonna mentor. I mean, we're gonna match you with the right mentor that have the exact expertise that you would need, and hence that's where we tap into the alpha network and see, hey, we actually need someone who is very expert in U.S. regulations, for example. Then we look into the Web3 lawyers that we have in our network and see who is the right fit for this project, given their experience, given their availability as well. So usually it would be biweekly calls with the mentors and chat from a lot of time on texting as well. Yeah, and then in addition to mentoring, we also have master classes, which are more of like structured classes that you can watch on your own time. But I think what's really good is all these master classes will give you the fundamental on all other areas that may not be your North Star area, and you can work on that in the meantime as well, or even take a look at that in the future when you need them.
Sounds like a really exciting program. Question: why is it a good time for builders to start building, especially in a bear market?
Yeah, and bear market is actually the best time to build because then you would want to launch, in the bull market. So I think that's one of the reasons. The second is when it's bear market, there are a lot less noise, so you can actually differentiate yourself a lot more and show to investors, show to your community that you're actually, in here for the long run and care about building and not just here to short-term gains, right? So if you actually like pull through the bear market, I think that is a good stamp that you're long-term driven. I think and the third thing is also that the community itself also has a lot of less noise as well. So if people are still here, the people that you make relationships with during this time most likely will be long-term focus as well, and real builders, and hence these relationships that you make in the bear market are really valuable.
Yeah, it's a good time to put your head down and start building. You've touched a lot on the community, but we are going to move to this section of the Q&A. We have a question from Twitter user iKingAmino. How can the community be part of your journey?
Yeah, so there are actually a lot of ways. First is we have, like I said, incubator program that involves a lot of community as well. So by participating on our Discord, being vocal on Twitter, responding to just engaging with us, right? We're gonna notice you a lot more, and once we notice you, we're going to be able to determine, hey, like what's your expertise, and then eventually, once we figure out what's your expertise, we can actually pull you into the alpha network. And once you're in alpha network, then you're going to be exposed to very high expertise group of people that are from all over the world, right? So that's one way. Second way is we have a lot of tasks on Discord that you can contribute, whether it's UX UI related, whether it's just testing another product that our incubator project is launching. So throughout all these things, you also get benefits. Maybe it's alpha tokens, maybe it's the incubator project whitelist, etc. Right? And then I think the third of all, which you may have already done that, and you may not feel like, hey, you're contributing, but by staking alpha, I think that's already a huge contribution, showing that you're believing in us and building with us along the journey.
For anyone who's interested in joining the Discord, how can they join?
Yeah, so they can also, or anyone interested in joining our Discord, Twitter, Telegram, you can also go to our website. So our website has everything, alphaventuredao.io, and then there will be a link out from there.
Cool. Okay, moving on to another community question from Twitter user Panda Luku. Do you have a governance plan?
Yeah, very good question. And yeah, we do. So we have some proposals from time to time on Snapshot, and those with alpha holders can also vote on those proposals. And I think on the bigger grand scheme of things, there are multiple phases that we're looking to roll out a governance plan, right? Phase one, which is where we are now, is a bit of proposals here and there on the building side, and then pretty much focusing a lot more on the incubating side in terms of looping in alpha network to incubate with us, to evaluate projects with us. And then phase two is when we're going to decentralize the building arm a bit more. So I think the building arm is a bit harder to decentralize because you have to sacrifice, speed and quality from time to time as well. So we were finding a way to do that in such a way that we minimize the downside and maximize the upside, right? But phase two is going to be decentralizing the build arm, and then I think the third phase, which is the final phase, is when we're going to have sub DAOs working together with the main DAO, right? So I think from having sub DAOs, it's going to be easier to manage in terms of selected people responsible for only selected things, and not adding too much responsibilities to the decentralized community.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have another question at DrunkenXT. What are the long-term sustainable value drivers for both the DAO and the alpha token?
Yeah, I think there are definitely from if you think of it as two arms, right? The build arm and the incubate arm. The long-term value generation actually comes from both in a different form. So from the building arm, with the products that we have live, we actually collect a lot of protocol fees. So these protocol fees, majority of the percentages go to alpha stakers. Some percentages goes to the treasury to make sure that alpha as a community can survive through multiple bear markets. So that's the build arm. So as long as we continue to build, continue to grow the existing products, we're going to continue to gain and earn more protocol fees. On the second arm, the incubate arm, so the incubated projects that we select and mentor with our alpha network, those are the projects that give alpha venture DAO a few percentages of their tokens. Majority of these tokens also go to alpha stakers, some to the mentors, some to the treasury, again, to make sure that we have a long runway. Yeah.
Great. Okay, moving on to different topic. It's been a few months since we've had the pleasure of interviewing a female co-founder. I am personally really curious about your experience and if you're seeing an increasing number of women in this space.
Yeah, I would say definitely an increase from last year, from 2 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. I still don't see that many female founders though, but I think yeah, they're it has to start somewhere, right? And at least we're on the journey towards that. But yeah, and I think by having a lot of resources that we have, hopefully we'll also give rise to more female founders as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that number keeps on growing.
Mm.
How is the Web3 space in Thailand? Is it accommodating to builders?
Yeah, I think it's actually interesting. I think it's very active. People talk about crypto. There are a lot of builders, students in universities, build their own projects, go on hackathons. But I think the reason that there's not that many, projects from Thailand that go, you know, very successful or go global is mainly coming from the language barrier. Yeah, I see that being the main common denominator of a lot of high quality projects. So yeah, I think with language being barrier, it also leads to how you communicate with community, which is like the key thing in crypto,
Mhm.
how you do marketing. So yeah, it kind of like have the ripple effects from there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, now I want to look to the future. We have a question from Twitter user Maple212. What Web3 trends are you most excited about?
Yeah, I think personally, there are a few that I'm, looking into, but haven't felt like, that much conviction yet. I think it would need more time for me to develop my own thesis and like actually see that conviction. But the one trend that I really interested in and see that it's definitely going to be a huge opportunity is traditional games that come into Web3. And there are a lot of, reasons behind that. One is that in traditional gaming market, it has proven that there is so much demand globally, right? So that's one. Second is how games work and how like communities around games work are very native to crypto community and how crypto people function and think. Because for games, right, you have in-game community, you have your gaming community locally. So it's not too much of a big jump when you apply that to the crypto world. But the benefit that these games will get is actually the liquidity for these in-game assets and pretty much like the global market of things, right? As opposed to just having local communities and expanding each region one by one. So with that two benefits that you actually get from crypto, I think it not only like help the gaming landscape, but also help the crypto landscape as well to build more use cases.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of overlap there between the two.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Question from Twitter user Kitu Art. What is your plan for the rest of 2022? Are there any upcoming events or good news that you can give us a sneak peek of?
Yeah, so we've been heads down building the team, building, the products, adding a lot more incubated projects. So from the build arm, so we're, actively building another product. So like I said, it's in the NFT infrastructure layer, connecting a lot of the new faces, new money from arts, music, and pretty much like the art scene in the real world to blockchain in a way that not only benefit the real world artistic landscape by allowing them to tap into the global liquidity, but also benefit the crypto landscape because we're pretty much bringing new money into the ecosystem. So to TBD on that, and be on the lookout for more product updates. Um, on the Incubate arm, though, we have very interesting projects in the upcoming batch that is starting in July. So as I said, applications are still open. So if you are a builder, if you are building something, be sure to apply before June 10th. Now we have shortlisted a few projects already, ranging from DAO tooling, crypto bank, community data platform, on-chain structured product. So yeah, if you're building something very interesting, be sure to apply.
Exciting. Okay, looking even further ahead, Twitter user at DJOFlow1, where will Alpha be in 3 years?
Yeah. So the picture that I have is majority of the high quality projects in Web3 in 3 years should come from Alpha Venture DAO, whether it's through the build arm that we build and launch as separate projects, or through the incubate arm that we incubate high quality projects. So that's one. Second is we will also have investing arm. So that's the plan. That's the vision that we have. So with investing arm, we also not only invest ourselves, but want to make sure that community and the ones that are really engaged have the ability to invest, and opportunities are really open, right, and not just scattered among selected group of people. So when you put all three arms combined with build, incubate, and invest, you pretty much have like this decentralized venture fund. So that's the vision, I would say, in 3 years.
Exciting. Okay, well, that wraps up all of our AMA questions. Thank you so much, Tascha, for taking the time to speak to us, and thank you to the community for sending in questions. Before we say goodbye, is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I think thanks for joining. If you are alpha stakers, alpha holders, glad to have you as Alpha Wolf. We're gonna power through the bear market together, and yeah, we're really focused on the long term, and we're on the right track. Yeah.
Great. Everyone, you can follow Tascha on Twitter at Tascha_Ponpon. You can follow Alpha Venture DAO at Alpha Venture DAO on Twitter. Check out their YouTube and Spotify, where you can listen to their podcast, and you can join the community on Discord and Telegram. And of course, make sure to follow Crypto.com to stay informed about all of our upcoming events and announcements. You can join us on Twitter at Crypto.com, as well as our Telegram and YouTube channel, where you can watch this AMA after today. Thanks again, Tascha.